She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Word of Mom Radio here on the Word of Mom Media Network. I'm your host, Dori DeCarlo, and you know we are here week after week, show after show, breaking those myths that mompreneurs and businesswomen, especially those of us building our businesses from home, that we're just dabbling in between bake sales and getting our nails done. We're not. We are smart, we are savvy, and we are sharing the wisdom of women in business and in life. And you know I love bringing fellow podcasters in, and I'm looking forward to sharing today's guest. Marianne Hickman is an international public speaker and personal speaking mentor who specializes in inspiring business owners and coaches to monetize their message through appearing on stages. Marianne has been featured in over 2,400 worldwide stages, focusing on enriching and cultivating the development of your story, message, and revenue. Her life's motto is to make good people crazy wealthy. Marianne's a single mother who brought her family from food stamps to a multiple six-figure income. She's married to her best friend, Richard Hickman, and together they are raising 6 children and still in the thick of it. So
that's darn right.
I know, right? Welcome to Word of Mom Radio, Marianne.
Dori, thank you for having me. I'm so excited for all the women that are listening to this episode. I'm excited for what you're building. And if there's nothing else that you leave with this episode with, I want you to know that there are women like us out there cheering with you.
Absolutely. You know, it's so funny. It's why I began Word of Mom Radio. So women like us building our businesses, raising our families. I was a single mom as well. And we needed to know that we're not alone. Because I don't know about you. I personally think women, we're our worst enemy because so many women fall into that high school mentality of, oh, I can't help you. What if you steal my boyfriend? They like you more than they like me. Whereas, let's face it, guys, Charlie doesn't care if you golf with Joe as long as you're giving him your business. They're not worried that you're going to like them more. And I kind of think that is why women have such a hard time promoting each other. And again, why I started this show, we're in our 13th season now, to give women a voice, because together we are so much stronger. So I would love for you to take us on your journey that has led you from being a public speaker to now teaching people how to do this.
Well, it's interesting. I didn't think public speaking could be a career for the longest time. I have to give a tip of the hat to my 7th grade teacher, Mrs. Wilson. And gosh, I hope she's still around. I hope she's still alive. I hope to reconnect with her one day because I owe her so much. And I owe so much to my mother, who always believed in me. When Mrs. Wilson and I were in school together, she encouraged me to join drama, which I did. I loved it. And she also encouraged me to join choir, which I did. And I loved it. And she always also encouraged me to join a speaking competition. And the thought of that was so odd to me because I grew up in a house with lots of kids. There were 10 of us. And so I thought speaking competition meant argument. And I was like, why would you want me to do this? And so I did. And she put me on that stage. She put me in front of a podium and I wrote a speech. Now, I come from a background of a church who puts 3 to 5-year-olds on stage. So when I've been speaking in front of groups of my peers and grown-ups ever since I was little itty bitty, and my mom was helping me write these talks. And then it evolved. And I feel like, oh my gosh, I feel if I could go back to myself at that age, I would say, Marianne, pay attention. Pay attention to what's happening. Pay attention to what you're doing, because not only can this be a career, which was one of my primary desires as I became a young adult, is how do I create a career? How do I provide for my family? But it can also, more importantly, change and save lives. I'll never forget the event that I was speaking at. And I was in front of, there were probably, I think, about 500 people in the room. And in the crowd, I saw this young man. He was probably 14, 15. And when I was doing the exercise that I was supposed to do, I had one of the audience members come up as a volunteer. And they didn't know what they were volunteering for, but I asked them to raise their hand. and come up to the front if they were willing to do an experiment with me. And I always look for the people in the audience who raise their hands slowly and late, because they are willing but scared. And that makes the best person. If they raise their hand too fast, that's a spotlight person. They're in it for them, for the spotlight and for the limelight. I'm not interested in that. I'm not going to also voluntold people who don't raise their hand. And I'm sure as heck not going to pick the person who the person next to them raised their hand for them. That's unwilling. We don't want to do that. So I called on this boy, and I had him come up, and I was doing a demonstration for the audience. This is an icebreaker that I do at events to get the audience to not be so stiff and siloed in their own experience. I want them to break down the walls and interact with each other. So I called this boy up, and I said, I want to demonstrate to you this exercise, this game we're about to play, we're about to do. And I looked at this boy, and I looked at his eyes, and I said, the greatness I see in you. And then I proceeded to see, I've never met him before. I told him, the greatness I see in you is this. And I just went with my gut, and I went with my intuition. And then I had him go off stage, and then I had, okay, audience, it's your turn, go. 3 months later, this mother came up to me, and I'll never forget this. This mother came up to me, and she said, hi, you don't know me, but 3 months ago, you pulled my son out of the audience and onto the stage. And what we later found out was that he had a very specific note written that night. And if you're reading between the lines, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He had exit plans from the planet, and he didn't carry them through. And when she introduced me to him again, his light was different. His energy was different. He was smiling more. His appearance was different. You could tell the self-loathing had taken a few steps back. And so that moment really solidified it for me. It really meant that we never know who we're inspiring. We never know who we're blessing. We never know whose lives we're changing. We do know that hurt people. And we do know that help people, healed people. And so it became less of a career pursuit and more of a responsibility, like Viktor Frankl says, where we have a responsibility. With liberty, we have a responsibility to first raise ourselves up, pull ourselves out of it, and then reach down our hand and lift another. And I reflect on that day often. Every time we're in a microphone setting like this, every time I'm in a microphone setting in front of other people, and every time I'm around my own kids, I think about that. And I think about what can be said that is kind and helpful and positive and inspiring that can lift somebody out of a dark place. Maybe they were almost at the point of no return, and we can change that by the words we say.
I so agree with you. You know, my brothers tease me. My little brother Frank says, you know, your day is never complete if you don't take a picture of a stranger. And I am that person. I will always see somebody. It's like, would you like me to take a picture of all of you? Or I'll be walking and somebody will say, hey, would you take a picture of us? I'll see somebody, and especially an older person, dressed, and I will absolutely compliment them. And my brother, what is your problem? I said, hey, you know what it is to get up and get dressed and put on your makeup? You're a guy. You throw on a t-shirt, a pair of jeans, and a baseball cap, and you're out the door. And somebody, especially that age, who has taken the time to do her makeup and her hair and her nails, why not tell her how good she looks? You know, why not compliment somebody? You don't know what their day is. And you don't know if that compliment, that one person taking notice, just like you said, you just never know. And it's amazing. It's the domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
It really is.
I saw this quote, and it's been living. I got to put it on a t-shirt or something. It says, be a little kinder than necessary. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. It's not necessary to be kind. It's an extra step we take. And what it does, there's a law in physics. I'm a huge nerd. So there's a law in physics called the law of entropy, which basically means without work, the state of energy, the state of matter will fall, will degrade, will deteriorate. If a tree isn't doing work, it will fall down and disassemble. It requires work for the photosynthesis to occur. It requires work for the water to be brought up to the tree. And that's what sustains life. And without work, it will deteriorate. Without work, your marriage will deteriorate. Without work, your relationship with your children will deteriorate. Without work, your business deteriorates. It falls apart. We have to be constant. Without work, the laundry never gets done. That's the law of the universe. And when we say be a little kinder than necessary, that's the effort. That's the energy. That's the quote unquote work. It doesn't feel like work. That's what we imbue into the stranger or the friend or the family member next to us to be a positive deposit for them. It may put water in their cup that was never there. And it may just make their cup overflow so that their cup of love and happiness is flowing over so much that they love the next person because they can't hold it back anymore. They can't contain it anymore. That's the beauty.
It's so amazing to me because as parents, it's our responsibility to teach our children the different little things, and actions speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm.
They watch so much more than they listen. And I remember my children's dad, like my kids they actually said, mom never does anything that doesn't make her happy. And
wow,
my children's dad looked at them and he goes, well, how can you tell she's always happy? And they were like, well, that kind of proves the point, And it's true. Anything I do, I'm going to go for it. Cleaning the house. I used to joke menial mom Mondays when when my kids were growing up, because on the weekends, that wasn't my day to be able to go food shopping and stuff like that. I had baseball games. I had practice, 3 kids to chauffeur all over the place. So, and it's so funny because now that my kids are grown and gone, I'm a Mimi now. Menial Mom, I've translated that into Word of Mom Radio. This is my recording day, and I will record anywhere between 4 and sometimes 8 episodes on a Monday. I just go from morning to night, and that's my Mondays. And then the rest of the week, I parcel out as I do. And it's the joy of being older now. I don't have the 9 to 5 obligation. I don't have a family to raise. I'm not in the thick. I'm in the joyful part of it now. Yeah, let me rearrange things so I can take my grandkids to the park. Yay,
I'm excited for that. I got to tell you, I'm grateful to be where I am, and I look forward to that.
Nobody prepares you for how much you love your grandkids. But it's so funny because even in this, let's talk about the balance illusion.
Oh, thank you.
People talk about the balance in your life. I'm like, trust me, it's a juggling act.
There's no balance involved.
Exactly.
You kidding me? One of my good friends, Trina, she's a founder of a company called Tech Moms, and she wrote a book that I was like, it's like you read my mind. It's like you pensived with the magic wand, all of these thoughts, and thank you for writing this book so I don't have to. This whole idea of balance, here's why balance is a myth, and here's why if you chase it, you'll never be satisfied. Balance means that everything weighs the same all the time, and it doesn't. It changes, it evolves, it expands, it contracts. Last night, for example, I had a conversation with my daughter. Now she's 19. She's a grown up. She still lives at home, totally fine. But we had a tough conversation last night, and it went late into the night. It went for an hour. At that moment, my daughter and me, we had a relationship need. That was the biggest thing on my plate. That was the most important thing on my plate. It wasn't time for sleep. It wasn't time to have pillow talk with my husband. It wasn't time for business stuff. It was time for me to have a relationship talk with my daughter. That was the most important thing. So I eschew the thought of balance because it is so impossible. What instead I have adopted is the word harmony. And this is something that goes in my life mission. This is what I chase. All of us have listened to music. We know music. We know music we love. We know music we dislike. And that's to your point, Dori. You're probably only living in music that you like and music that you enjoy. We don't listen to music we don't like necessarily most of the time. If we're playing music, if you've ever played an instrument or ever been to a symphony and some note gets wrong or the tempo gets misplaced or the wrong instruments are playing at the wrong time, we notice and we're like, ooh, I'm not going to do that. Or if the microphone screeches into the speakers, we don't like, ooh, it's out of harmony. It makes us cringe. It makes us do that. So when I say harmony, here's what I'm thinking. I'm the conductor of this symphony. I get to pick the music of this symphony. I get to pick the score. Maybe I even get to write my own music. And I'm standing in front of a multi-hundred piece orchestra. I've got a piano over here. I've got the oboes over there. I've got the violins over here. I've got the drums over there. And last night it was time for a guitar solo. That was my daughter and my time. The drums were quiet. The cymbals weren't crashing. The piano was silent. Everyone was just waiting because that part of the music said it's a drum solo right now or a guitar solo right now. Nothing else gets to play. And then when I went to bed, the music, I put my baton down and it was time for a rest. And then this morning, right now, this here, my kids were all taken care of. They're good. I gave them hugs and kisses out the door. Some of them went to school, some of them went to work, and some of them are still sleeping. They're good. Those instruments are resting right now. This moment with you, this moment with people that are listening, this is the piece of music that's playing right now. And in a few minutes, that will take a rest, and then breakfast will play. So it's part of the music. It's all part of the music. And my mission statement, my personal mission statement is that I live in the joy of my music. I live in the joy of my harmony. And when something isn't part of the harmony, then I get rid of that. Now, that's not to say that there aren't difficult parts. You and I both know music scores that have tension that build. And there's music that is sad sometimes. And there's music that is mournful sometimes. And there's music that is tense sometimes. And that's part of the music that makes it not boring. The reason that we love Hans Zimmer so much is that he's able to compose this music. If you don't know who Hans Zimmer is, you probably do and you don't know it because he's composed the musical scores for all of the movies that you love. And he writes music with mourning, with tension, with celebration. This piece of music, if you've ever watched How to Train Your Dragon, it's a big movie right now, that flight music, when it builds, and I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And then he finally locks in his prosthetic foot and he's able to fly with Toothless. It just soars after all of this tension. So that's part of it. It's not that we're meant to eliminate tension and fear from our lives. It's leverage. It's leverage for the climax of the piece of music that you're listening to or that you're conducting.
I love that. And on that note, we're going to take a short break so we can say thank you to our supporters, and we'll be back here in just a moment on Word of Mom Radio. She is brave, she is bold, she is you, and we want to tell your story. Are you ready to share your journey with us on Word of Mom Radio? Go to wordofmomradio.com and register as a guest. We want to tell your story because when you win, we all win.
In 2017, Unsilenced Voices was formed to help survivors of domestic abuse and gender-based violence worldwide. The organization currently serves Sierra Leone, Rwanda, Ghana, and the USA. In 2022, Unsilenced Voices gifted over $33,000 to survivors in the USA. And in Sierra Leone, there are over 26 young girls who have been rescued from sex trafficking and domestic abuse and now going through vocational training school in order to better their lives. We need your help. Donations are critical in order for us to continue our work. We also need volunteers to help with research and development. Please visit unsilencedvoices.org for more information.
And we're back here on Word of Mom Radio. We are speaking with Marianne Hickman, and I love what you said about harmony. I really do. And what a marvelous way to counteract trying to find quote unquote balance. Because you're right, it gives equal weight to everything, and everything in life does not have equal weight. But the harmony is what matters. And it's so funny. I just read this article about the movie Psycho and how Alfred Hitchcock got it snuck past the censors was not having the music playing during the shower scene. Because that shower
Wait,
scene,
what?
Yeah, getting it past the censors. Because if you remember the shower scene, you see a knife. It was actually Hershey's chocolate syrup is what they used for the blood because it mimicked it well enough because it was black and white. It was the sound of a knife going into a melons were the sound that you heard, but without the orchestration, that it got past the censors.
No kidding.
Then they added the music afterwards.
Sneaky little bugger.
Yeah. You know what? Alfred Hitchcock really, I mean, think about it. They actually created a word, Hitchcockian thrillers. That man changed the genre of filmmaking and how to do it. But that music is everything. So I'm a performer, so I so relate to the harmony element. And you know what? You are going to have dissonance. You are going to have tension. Those strings are going to vibrate at different times. But ultimately, it is the music that we orchestrate for our lives that moves us along. I'm going to go back mom to mom. 6 kids. How are you integrating your kids with your business?
Someone gave me this, and I wish I could remember who it was because I owe them some gratitude. But they gave me this one question that really, it took the tension, it resolved the tension of business versus motherhood, because I wasn't always good at it. We always say, how did you get good at something? By being really bad at it at first. So someone gave me this question, and I hope it's a gift for someone who's listening. It's the question of going to your kids and saying, how would you like to help with the family business? What would you like to do? And I go to my daughter and say, how would you like to help? And it took her a second, because she's like, I've always felt like I was a versus, especially when they were little. It was, hang on just a second. I need to go into my office and close the door and get that done. You're going to play or do whatever by yourself in the background while I do this. And that was a start. I'm not going to shame anybody that's doing that at all. But the next level up is, how do you want to contribute? And my one daughter says, I think I could run the soundboard. That sounds really cool to me. When you do events or when you have podcasts, I think I could run the soundboard in the back of the room. I said, great, let's teach you how to do that. My other daughter says, I'd like to do the check-in process for the events. I could get on the computer because she does crochet for her business. So she's like, I could crochet in between people checking in. And I was like, great, that's a $20 an hour position. So come on over. And asking, just asking all of the kids, I want to do the graphic design. Do you need a logo? I want to do this. How about we build websites together? And then I turn around and ask them, how can I support your business? And for my one daughter who crochets, that means going to market every other Saturday with her. And we go to the market and we set up the booth and we do the tent together. So it's this, I don't like calling it a transactional, but it's a win-win. Stephen Covey talks about win-win. Mm-hmm. It's a win-win situation of how can I help you and how can you help me? And when I started asking that, it made us peers in a way. And I don't think that parents and children are always meant to be peers, but when you can create a common ground, because guess what? We're all figuring this day out. None of us have ever done this day before. September 15th, 2025, we are all new here. None of us with 0 XP to start the day, right? And I think about that with my kids, especially when we're attention. I've never done this day before. I tell my 19-year-old all that. I've never parented a 19-year-old before. She's my oldest. And even when my next one turns 19, I've never parented her as a 19-year-old. So when we can admit that we are both in the learning process, and then we can admit that we both need help, and then we can elevate each other by both giving and receiving help to one another, that has been one of the most powerful tools, because then it translates to them doing it with all their friends and so forth. That's one of the best ways to find harmony is how can we work together and what can I do to serve you?
Isn't it amazing when your kids get involved? It is so much fun. I had at different points, my 3 kids did different things with me, with my other business. And my oldest son had lost his job and had just moved. And I was down in Florida working, and he called me up and was just in this panic. And I said, well, you know what? Right now, I'm actually looking for somebody who can do this, 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 and this for me. So if you would be interested, I'm happy to hire you. And I was like, you know what? I'll give you 6 months. If you want to stay, you're more than welcome. And he wound up getting into the union. I mean, but it gave him that little bit of a cushion. my daughter the graphic artist and, doing her photography and stuff. And she was traveling the country. I said, how about I give you X amount a month, and everywhere you go, take our clear bags and photograph them all over the place, at the
That's
beach, in the
great.
mountains, here, there, camping, hiking. And, I wound up with a few hundred pictures that I can repurpose over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it was so much fun. And then my middle son was the one, Mom, I'll take the rides with you when you have to go pick stuff up, and he'd come with me state to state. And, I had to go to Philadelphia. I said, you're dying for Philly cheesesteaks. What do you think? He's like, I'm in, so it is as a mompreneur, and I've been calling myself that since 1994. And I've been doing this since last century. It started with the computer. My son, one time I was working on something and I went, it was gone.
Oh,
and my son, who was 10 at the time, he's like, excuse me, Mom, may I sit down, please? I said, sure. And I hear click, 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 boom, boom. And there it was. He goes, now I've saved it for you here. I've saved it for you here too, because they grew up with this stuff. I'm learning it. It is just such a fun thing when you give your kids that opportunity. And I like you asking what they would want to do. So as we're bringing this to a close, what do you want to share with that mom who's listening right now, Marianne? And how can she reach out to you?
Well, gosh, I got to tell you, Dori, my message has changed in the last 4 days. It really has. There's a lot of fluff that I didn't realize was fluff that I was bringing to the table. A lot of things that were fun but unimportant. A lot of things that were, they're just fat that needs to be trimmed. And in the last 4 days, I have thought so passionately about what it means to carry the flag, what it means to pick up your mic, what it means to communicate. So I've taken a mission onto this phrase that says, pick up the mic. And that means say something. When you're with your children, say the thing, have the hard discussions, talk to them, listen to them. When you feel compelled to go live on social media, just do it. I don't care if you have 10 followers. I don't care if you have 1 follower. I don't care if you have 1,000 followers, but this comes from a moment when I put on my first event and nobody showed up, but I delivered my keynote anyway, because I was never going to be the reason that my message didn't get out there and help somebody. And I don't want that for anyone, any mother that's listening. Don't be the reason your message doesn't get out there. Pick up the mic and say the thing. Have the discussion. Speak the words. Be a little kinder than necessary. That's what I hope that you will do. And if you want to chat with me, if you want to be closer to me, if we like each other, or even if you want to have a discussion, you disagree with me, I'm open to that. Text me. I'll give everyone my number. It's 801-509-5495, because my mission is to put my microphone up to the messages that matter.
I love what you just said, because words do matter, and words can hit harder than a fist, or words can provide comfort and enlightenment and encouragement and empowerment. And as women, we can stand on top of that mountain and shout and sing and whatever. But when we do it together, when we bring our voices together, that harmony, that choir we become of encouragement and empowerment, and raising our children to actually see what is going on around them, to be an active participant in their own life. Because too often, especially as we get older, we kind of put it in neutral. And this is not a time to be in neutral.
No, definitely not.
So I really encourage you to reach out to Marianne. We didn't even have a chance to talk about her podcast. Tell me about your podcast really quick. It's going to run over, but we don't care.
Well, I have a podcast called The Marianne Hickman Show, and this is where we listen to the stories of people. So I have guests on that are brand new, that have never podcasted before. I just had a guest on, we broadcast the episode yesterday, from a man who traveled all over the world, and his words about understanding just hit so timely for me. So my podcast is all about putting my microphone up to the people whose messages I want to hear. I'm curious about people. So you'll hear some themes about getting on stage and some tactics and techniques for that and how to take the stage and how to take the mic. But most importantly, you're going to hear the stories of the people who I believe are making a difference, whether they just started or whether they have decades of experience. That's what my show is all about.
I love it. All of Marianne's links are going to be live on wordofmomradio.com. I encourage you to reach out, take a listen to her podcast, and know that each one of us makes a difference in our own way. We really do. And together, we're so unstoppable. So, Marianne, thank you so much for taking the time to come and share your journey with us here on Word of Mom Radio today.
Thank you, Dori. Let's go, ladies.
Right on. And for all of you tuning in, thanks for listening. We're going to close out with our fabulous theme song from Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. So till next time, this is Dori DeCarlo saying go out and create a marvelous you. Bye for now.
She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is sure. She is sure. She is strong. She is strong. She is true. She is true. She is brave. She is brave. She is bold. She is bold. She is you. She is you. She is you. She is you. Sure of herself, yeah, she takes care of biz. Powerful and strong, yeah, she knows who she is. Has integrity, woman strong and true. You know her by name, see this woman is you. She is sure, she is sure. She is strong, she is strong. She is true, she is true. She is brave, she is brave. She is bold, she is bold. She is you, she is you. She is you, she is you. She is sure, she is sure. She is strong, she is strong. She is true, she is true. She is brave, she is brave. She is bold, she is bold. She is you, she is you. She is you, she is you. Adds value and hope, has proved to be brave. See, it's never too late, never time to behave. Reaching for dreams, doesn't matter the age. Believes in herself, unleashed from her cage. She is sure, she is sure. She is strong, she is strong. She is true.